Look at this image. This isn't a glitch, this isn't a power outage. This is North Korea every single night. Now look at this. This is what tourists see when they visit North Korea, choreographed perfection. Happy citizens, clean streets, smiling children. And this is what they don't show you. I'm about to take you behind the curtain of the most secretive nation on earth. What you're going to see will change how you understand this country forever. Welcome to Forbidden Frontiers. Let's go inside. Alright, so before we dive into the dark stuff, let me give you some quick context. North Korea, officially called the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which is ironic because it's neither democratic nor a republic, is a country of about 26 million people. It's been ruled by the Kim family since 1948. That's 3 generations of absolute power. First Kim Il-sung, then his son Kim Jong-il, and now his grandson Kim Jong-un. And here's the thing, North Korea isn't just authoritarian, it's a full-blown personality cult. The Kims aren't just leaders, they're treated as gods. Every home is required to have portraits of the first 2 Kims. Every citizen wears a pin with their faces. And criticizing them, that's not just illegal, it can get your entire family sent to a prison camp for generations. In fact, in 2025, the United Nations released a 10-year review that called North Korea one of the most repressive countries in the world. The UN human rights chief said, and I quote, "What we have witnessed is a lost decade." So with that context, let's talk about what tourists actually see when they visit North Korea versus what's really happening behind the scenes. Okay, so here's something that might surprise you. You can actually visit North Korea, well, sort of. Before COVID, around 5,000 Western tourists visited North Korea every year. Most came from China, up to 120,000 Chinese tourists in 2019 alone. But here's the catch, and this is really important to understand. You cannot travel independently in North Korea. It's literally illegal. Every tourist must be part of an organized tour, and you're assigned government minders who follow you everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Your phone might be confiscated, your hotel room is almost certainly bugged, and you're only allowed to see what they want you to see. Let me give you an example. Tourists love the Pyongyang metro, its beautiful chandeliers, marble columns, murals of the Kims. Tour guides proudly show off these gorgeous stations. But here's what they don't tell you. Tourists are only allowed to visit 2 stations. 2 out of 17. Why? Because the other stations aren't as pretty, because they might see something they're not supposed to see. Then there's the Arirang Mass Games, this massive performance with over 100,000 participants creating human mosaics. It looks incredible on video. But what tourists don't know is that many of those performers are children who have been rehearsing for months, sometimes pulled out of school, sometimes punished if they make mistakes. There are reports of entire fake stores and hospitals being set up along tourist routes, shelves stocked with food that locals can't afford, medical equipment that's never been used. And here's what really gets me. Tourists are told not to take photos of anything negative, construction workers, poverty, soldiers. If you do, your guide will ask you to delete it, and if you refuse, well, let's just say things can get very uncomfortable very quickly. Just ask Otto Warmbier, the American student who allegedly tried to take a propaganda poster from his hotel in 2016. He was arrested, sentenced to 15 years of hard labor, and returned to the US in 2017 in a vegetative state. He died 6 days later. The tourist experience in North Korea isn't tourism, it's theater. And you're not a guest, you're an audience member in a performance designed to make you believe that everything is fine. It's not. Alright, let's talk about surveillance, because what North Korea has built is unlike anything else on Earth. A 2025 UN report put it bluntly. North Korean authorities maintain total control of the population through surveillance, censorship, and severe punishments. Total control. It starts with something called the Inminbin system. Every neighborhood in North Korea is divided into small units of about 20-40 households, and each unit has a leader, usually an older woman, whose job is to monitor everyone in that group. She knows when you wake up, when you go to work, who visits your home, what you talk about, and she reports everything to the government. But it goes deeper than that. Citizens are actively encouraged to inform on each other, neighbors, coworkers, even family members. If you hear someone say something critical about the government, you're expected to report it. And if you don't, if authorities find out you knew and didn't say anything, you're guilty too. Then there's the media control. North Koreans cannot access the internet. Not the real internet anyway. There's a domestic internet called pyongyang with maybe a few thousand government-approved websites. International phone calls are basically impossible. Foreign radio signals are jammed, and every television and radio in the country is pre-tuned to state channels and sealed so they can't be adjusted. And here's where it gets really dark. In recent years, North Korea has executed people for distributing foreign media, including South Korean TV dramas, K-dramas. People have been put to death for sharing soap operas. In 2023, they passed a law criminalizing the use of South Korean slang. Using certain words can now be punished by death. Think about that. The government is so afraid of outside influence that they're executing people for the way they talk. And if you try to escape, as of 2025, border guards still operate under a shoot-to-kill order for anyone trying to cross without permission. This was implemented during COVID in 2020, and it never went away. The numbers tell the story. In 2019, over 1,000 North Koreans reached South Korea. In the first half of 2025, just 96, and most of those had been living in third countries for years before finally making it out. This isn't just a surveillance state, it's a prison disguised as a country. Okay, so we've talked about control. Now let's talk about what daily life actually looks like for ordinary North Koreans, because it's nothing like what tourists see. First, you need to understand the Songbun system. Songbun is North Korea's caste system. Every citizen is classified based on their family's perceived loyalty to the regime. There are three main categories: the core class, the wavering class, and the hostile class. Your Songbun determines everything: where you can live, what job you can have, whether you can go to university, even who you can marry. And here's the brutal part: your Songbun is inherited. If your grandfather was a landowner before the Korean War, you're still paying for that 3 generations later. This is why Pyongyang looks so different from the rest of the country. Only citizens with good Songbun are allowed to live in the capital. It's essentially a showcase city, the good North Koreans on display for foreigners while everyone else lives in poverty. And that poverty is severe. In 2025, the average yearly income in North Korea was estimated at around $1,246. That's about $3.40 a day. The World Bank classifies this as low to lower middle income, one of the poorest populations in Asia. Food insecurity is chronic. Many families survive on government rations that are often delayed or reduced. When harvests fail, people starve. To survive, many North Koreans rely on informal markets called jangmadang. These technically illegal markets have become essential for getting food, medicine, and basic goods that the government can't or won't provide. But operating in these markets is risky. Get caught selling the wrong thing or get reported by a jealous neighbor and you could end up in a labor camp. Speaking of labor, let's talk about something tourists definitely don't see. North Korea relies heavily on forced labor. Every citizen is expected to participate in volunteer work, construction projects, farming, infrastructure, but there's nothing voluntary about it. Children as young as 14 are organized into shock brigades and sent to work in coal mines, construction sites, and farms. A UN report described these brigades as often very hazardous and dangerous work, and noted that it's usually children from lower Songbun classes who can't bribe their way out. Healthcare is another hidden crisis. Officially, North Korea claims to have universal health care. In reality, hospitals outside Pyongyang often lack basic supplies, medicine, equipment, even electricity. In 2025 alone, over 400 health facilities closed due to lack of funding. That's 400 clinics and hospitals gone in a single year. And for women, life is even harder. Sexual violence is widespread and rarely punished. Women have limited job opportunities and are often expected to earn money for the family through market trading while also doing all domestic work. This is daily life in North Korea, not the clean streets of Pyongyang, not the smiling performers, this. Now you might be wondering, how does a government maintain this level of control over 26 million people? How do you keep an entire nation believing that their leader is basically a god while they're starving? The answer is propaganda, and North Korea has perfected it. It starts at birth. From the moment North Korean children enter school, they're taught that the Kim family saved their nation. Textbooks are filled with stories of Kim Il-sung's heroic battles, Kim Jong-il's miraculous feats, and Kim Jong-un's genius leadership. Children are taught to thank the Kims for everything: their food, their homes, their education. They practice loyalty pledges daily. State media reinforces this constantly. There are only government-approved TV channels, radio stations, and newspapers. Every broadcast glorifies the leadership and demonizes enemies, especially the United States and South Korea, and the claims about the Kims are wild. State media has claimed that Kim Jong-il invented the hamburger, never needed to use a toilet, and shot 11 holes in one the first time he played golf. Kim Jong-un has been credited with learning to drive at age 3 and designing buildings as a teenager. These stories sound ridiculous to us, but if you've never had access to outside information, if everyone around you believes it, if questioning it could get you killed, you believe it too. And that's the key: information isolation. North Koreans don't know what they don't know. They can't Google. They can't watch YouTube. They can't read foreign news. Many don't even know that South Korea is a wealthy, democratic nation. They've been told their entire lives that South Koreans live in poverty under American occupation. This is why foreign media is so dangerous to the regime. When North Koreans watch South Korean dramas, they see something impossible: Koreans who look just like them living in nice apartments, driving cars, freely criticizing their government. It shatters the illusion. Organizations outside North Korea try to smuggle information in USB drives loaded with movies, TV shows, Wikipedia articles, balloons carrying leaflets, and SD cards. The regime responds with executions, because they know that information is the one thing that could bring them down. And when propaganda isn't enough, there's always fear. Public executions are common and deliberately public, sometimes conducted in front of the victim's family, coworkers, or entire neighborhoods. The message is clear: disobedience leads to death. This is how you control a nation. Not just with guns and guards, but with stories, with isolation, with fear so deep that people police themselves. Everything I've told you so far comes from UN reports, satellite imagery, and undercover footage. But the most powerful evidence comes from the people who actually escaped: North Korean defectors. Over 34,000 North Koreans have reached South Korea since the 1990s, and their testimonies paint a picture more horrifying than anything we could imagine. Let's start with the prison camps. North Korea operates a network of political prison camps, that hold an estimated 80,000 to 120,000 people. These aren't regular prisons. They're forced labor camps where prisoners work in mines, farms, and factories until they die. Satellite imagery has identified at least 5 major camps. Some are the size of cities, and the conditions inside are medieval. Defectors who survived these camps describe starvation so severe that prisoners eat rats, insects, and grass to survive. They describe torture, beatings, water torture, stress positions held for days. They describe public executions in front of other prisoners as punishment for minor infractions. And perhaps most disturbing, they describe being born inside these camps. North Korea practices something called guilt by association. If you commit a political crime, you're not the only one punished. Your parents, your children, and your grandchildren can all be sent to prison camps. Some defectors were born in camps because their grandparents were accused of disloyalty decades earlier. They grew up never knowing life outside the fence. The stories of escape are equally harrowing. Most defectors escape through China first, then travel through Southeast Asia to reach South Korean embassies. The journey can take months or years. Many don't survive. Women face particular dangers. Many are trafficked by smugglers and sold as brides to rural Chinese men. Some are forced into prostitution. If they're caught by Chinese authorities and sent back to North Korea, they face imprisonment, torture, or execution. And even if you escape successfully, your family pays the price. Relatives left behind face interrogation, job loss, forced relocation, or prison camps. Those who make it to South Korea face a different challenge: adjusting to a world they were never prepared for. Many struggle with PTSD, depression, discrimination, and culture shock. But almost all of them say the same thing: they'd rather die than go back. One defector told the UN, "We were born and grew up in political prison camps because of a crime committed by our grandfather." Think about that: punished for 3 generations, for something you had no part in. This is what tourists don't see. This is what the propaganda hides. This is North Korea. So what happens next? Is there any hope for change? Honestly, it's complicated. In early 2026, a BBC investigation revealed serious divisions within the Taliban leadership. Wait, sorry, wrong country. Let me focus on North Korea. Economically, North Korea is struggling. International sanctions have crippled trade, COVID isolation made things worse, and the regime's refusal to reform has left the economy stagnant. Some observers point to small signs of change, young people in Pyongyang wearing more fashionable clothes, hints of market economics being tolerated, but these are crumbs, not reform. Kim Jong-un has begun appearing publicly with his daughter, leading many analysts to believe she's being groomed as the next leader. If true, the Kim dynasty could continue for another generation. And internationally, North Korea has become more aggressive, not less. In 2024, they sent an estimated 12,000 troops to fight alongside Russia and Ukraine. Reports suggest over 6,000 have been killed or wounded. They continue developing nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles, defying international sanctions and threatening regional stability. The international community has largely failed. Decades of sanctions, negotiations, and condemnations have achieved almost nothing. The regime adapts, survives, and tightens its grip. But here's what I keep coming back to. 26 million people live in North Korea. 26 million human beings who were born into a system they didn't choose, who have never experienced freedom, who have been told their entire lives that the outside world is evil. They're not our enemies, they're victims. And maybe that's where hope lies, not in governments or sanctions, but in information. Every USB drive smuggled across the border, every radio signal that breaks through the jamming, every defector who tells their story, chips away at the wall. The regime knows this. That's why they execute people for watching TV shows, because they know that once people see the truth, the illusion collapses. I don't know when North Korea will change. I don't know if it will happen in my lifetime, but I believe that no system built on lies can last forever. The truth has a way of getting through. We started this video with an image of darkness. 26 million people living in that darkness right now, cut off from the world, controlled, surveilled, and silenced. Today we pulled back the curtain. We showed you what tourists don't see, what the propaganda hides, what defectors risk their lives to reveal. If this video opened your eyes, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. We're on a mission to expose the world's most restricted, forbidden, and misunderstood places, and we can't do it without you. If you want to go deeper, click right here to watch our video on the 10 most restricted countries you can't visit in 2026, including more on North Korea and other places the world doesn't want you to see. I'm Forbidden Frontiers. Thanks for watching. And remember, some borders are meant to be crossed.